Hey out there, this is Friday, December 7th, 2018. And here in Northern California, it's just about exactly 20 minutes before 9 in the morning. Today I'll get into a lot of different stuff as usual. Straight off the bat here, right off the bat here, I would like to just make a statement about me and who I am. Well, I kind of think of myself as just a regular guy. I don't see any benefit to thinking I am special in any way or better than anybody else. In fact, quite the contrary. Because if one thing that really has stuck in my craw for decades in my empirical experiences in life, it is that I abhor elitism. And having to admit that there's a little elitist in yourself, that is really pretty much, I believe, in everybody, is a tough pill to swallow. But it's really very important, I think, for us to get our act together, is to confess our own elitism. And we might not connect the dots because a lot of times it comes out in things like false pride, self-righteousness. And it's a very unsavory, unbecoming quality, attribute. And but we don't, again, connect the dots. We think of it as kind of like if you're a believer, for example, you believe in God and you're a righteous human being and you're decent, upright, and well-wisher toward humanity, then you feel like it is just that little seed within you that makes you want to fight against injustice. The difficulty is that the people that are imposing the paradigm altering psychological abuse, for lack of a better term, which is this gaslighting effect that we're all being mind-effed from on high, is that most people just don't correlate what's going on within their own heart, soul, their spirit, their mind, and their essence, essentially, really who we are. We're not bodies. I mean, we all have a body, right? But, and while our essence is incorporated into it very well, integrated very well, our senses, and all that comprises the human being. But we are invisible, mostly. Just like electricity is mostly invisible. As Tesla proved, it's all in the air. The air we breathe is generally invisible unless there's steam or smoke. Now, it's not easy to prove something that's invisible, but science has done that with certain elements. I mean, we all know that gravity is real. I mean, if you try jumping off a cliff, you'll quickly find out how real it is. But it's very important for us to dredge out our own ineptness, our own failings, our own frailties, our own evils, really, is what it is. We all have a propensity toward this being kind of evil thing from this fallen state, from the original sin and the subsequent curse that befell the earth and this power that was given to evil forces, which is very, very unfortunate for humanity. And it helps explain our history for thousands of years, why it's been so effed up. Because we are inherently effed up. We have this carnal nature. We now are born into a life of death, basically. We're born to die. From the day we're born, we start aging. And like sands in an hourglass, we all know, scientifically speaking, it's not being negative, it's not being morbid to say we all know that our ticket's going to get punched. When, where, how, we generally don't know unless you decide to kill yourself, which, of course, I certainly don't recommend, because it gets better and better. If you seek wisdom, you'll find it. If you seek truth, you'll find it. You ask for comfort, you'll get it, because we are loved, and it's very important for everybody to understand that we're loved to ever get it together. So to throw off these shackles of being mini elitists, we have to turn to God. It's the only way. We have very negative natural instincts, let's say. We have two types of instincts. We have godly instincts, holy instincts, to be like our Creator God, which is perfect. Like Jesus said, be ye perfect. And who could say they're perfect? I've never met anyone that claimed to be a true believer and really was devout, in my opinion, that would claim they weren't sinners, that didn't have their failures in life, and that were imperfect. So what is Jesus talking about? Well, he's saying that, look, you put that in your pipe and smoke it, chew on that, ruminate on that statement he made. That it's always about us seeking to be like him, her, them, our divine parents, God Almighty, the Creator God. And that is a deep well of goodness that we're really on a path, endeavoring to attain in this idea of acquiring perfection. So we have to admit that really God is an idealist. God wants things to be perfect. And in the secular world, and even in circles that I really highly respect and trust, and I use as role models to look up to, like a parent you might look up to, and watch the Alex Jones show a lot, and other various people that are educators, really cutting edge educators, and I still feel like there is a departure of sorts in that there's blinders on a lot of people, and it's a way to protect what people perceive as self-interest. Perception is reality and all that. And so people, they often want to cling on to belief systems that they're comfortable with. And who doesn't understand that? I mean, we all understand that. But really, we have to let all our political beliefs, leanings, bents, affiliations, we have to put those on the back burner and turn to God for counsel and advice that's really holds water, that will hold water under any argument, any circumstance with anybody. And so we've got to put all this false pride, the ego, conceit, and erroneous beliefs, even no matter how strongly we believe them. And beliefs are powerful. People will fight and die, and need I say more about the belief system and the power thereof? So this is nothing to mock. And there's a lot of mockery out there. People, they want to keep stuff simple, but if they're off track, it doesn't matter how simple you want to keep it, you're not going to succeed. So when we call other people out on their hypocritical belief systems, and we start pointing out, their blind spots, and we try to correct them as best we can, and we think we're coming from a very good, benevolent standpoint, altruistic, and just trying to be a friend and help somebody, but all too often we're not looking at our own iniquities, our own failings, our own pitiable nature as human beings, subject to all the same stuff that everybody else is. Being born in this mortal coil and having to face death day in and day out, and seeing the horrors of the unnecessary suffering of humanity all over the world. I mean, to me, it's a miracle any of us cope. It really is. I know I'm scattered this morning, but you know what? I typically am, and It's not easy being human. Okay, let me put that out there. It's tough. And that is probably the best basis, the best starting point from really trying to correct other people and help them, is that look at our own failings. The ball is always in our court. It's always best to come from a standpoint of humility when it comes to correcting people. So when you're pointing out that somebody is a hypocrite, it's a very precarious touch and go situation. And in order to be effective, which I mean, after all, I mean, who doesn't want to be effective if you're sincere and serious about, making a better world for not only this generation, but future generations? I mean, it's very important to our happiness today in living this eternity one day at a time, that we make our argument palatable, that people can accept what we're saying. So the best way to reach people is from a humble standpoint of humility and love, and just saying, look, I'm not condemning you. I'm not judging you to that point. I'm just trying to be discerning and discriminating in the sense that, hey, look, I mean, right is right and wrong is wrong. Math is what it is. It's a science, and you can kick and scream and fight against the facts, the statistics, the mathematics, the science of an argument, but you can't succeed. And so, I mean, it kind of squashes any erroneous, delusional arguments that people have, and that feels really bad to people. So right away, you see that false pride kicks in, and the walls of defense go up, and their belief systems that they're comfortable with kick in. So it's really tough for people to let go of their belief systems. I listen to all these people, like I say, and everybody is an economist now. Everybody's an expert. They talk about the failings of economics and how the lefties, and I hear Alex Jones, he must say it 15 times a week, that the people, these liberals, and remember, it's just a name, it's a moniker. It's just like calling myself a Jew or a Christian or a Muslim and going out and doing heinous things just to frame somebody. So, I mean, not even Alex Jones, who is the king of exposing false flags and frame-ups, I mean, but I feel like he does it sometimes. He talks about the failures of socialism. But will he get into the mindset? Will he point out that these things aren't happening in a vacuum? Perception is reality. So people believe, okay, and as maleducated, not even miseducated, okay, misinformed. No, they are deliberately, malignantly, malevolently miseducated, okay, for a reason. Do you understand? I mean, it's that diabolical. Try to wrap your mind around just how diabolical this thing is. So when he talks about how great capitalism is, I would agree, but what we've had for decades upon decades is no form of true capitalism. Okay, there's no semblance to true capitalism. It's been inflicted upon us by fascist, communist people that call themselves socialists, and they try to conflate that idea of socialism with egalitarianism and social justice, and it's all a fraud. It's a facade. It's a lie. It's a beard. Okay? It's just what it is. It's just a lie. Okay? In order to bring in, because these people at the top, the grand puppeteers that are manipulating the masses, remember, they're very elitist. They're very hypocritical. They're very authoritarian, totalitarian. They want a Chinese-style government all over the world because it's easy for them. Once they've got people so under control, so in abject fear of the rulers and what the consequences of doing anything that could possibly offend the rulers of their nation, they're going to be, have a bag put over their head and carried off to some camp or some organ harvesting vehicle, or whatever, okay, imprisonment, okay. Yeah, it's very effective, okay, and that's what these ilk like, okay, and I don't like them. Recently, Daddy Bush passed, and you know what? I really don't enjoy saying anything negative about the dead, okay? Now, the people that I trust and listen to believe that this was a very evil individual, okay? And while I really didn't mind Daddy Bush initially, I guess he was president in the early 90s. Now, he's such an imbecile that he lost to Slick Willie, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't vote for either man. Let me be very clear. I found both of them repugnant. So I kind of gave up on politics largely about that time. Okay, I did not like either man. Let me be very clear about that. Okay. My one big passion before, everything went to hell in a handbasket pretty quickly. It started in the 80s. Okay.